Don't bother crying, Chloe. I've already burned your childhood photos. This house, the money, the legacy, it's all mine now. You're just a guest who overstayed her welcome. She thought she had buried the truth with my father, but she didn't realize I was the one holding the shovel. My name is Chloe, and I'm 34 years old. I've spent the last decade working as a high-end estate appraiser. While my family saw me as just a glorified antique seller, I spent my days learning the true value of things people try to hide. My stepmother, Regina, married my father 6 years ago and immediately began a campaign to erase my mother's memory. It started with small things, like moving a vase or hiding a picture, but it soon became a war. She replaced every soft memory with her own cold presence. Regina saw me as a quiet, mousy daughter who was easily pushed aside. She thought I was weak because I didn't shout or fight back when she insulted me at dinner. But she forgot that my job requires me to look for the fine print. I noticed the tiny cracks in a diamond. I see the faded ink on a contract. I was watching her every move while she was busy admiring her own reflection in the mirror. If your family made you feel like you weren't enough, subscribe to this community. Drop your story below. You're not alone. Let's prove that being quiet doesn't mean we aren't powerful. Click hype to join the family. Let's go. We stood in the living room after the service. The air smelled like lilies and Regina's heavy perfume. She held a glass of champagne like it was a trophy. "Chloe, dear, I've already had the locks changed," she announced loudly. The room went silent. "Your suitcases are in the driveway. It's time you stopped living off your father's kindness." I felt the eyes of his business partners on me. I was humiliated. She reached into her clutch and pulled out a check. She handed it to me with a smirk. "This is $500, she said. "It is honestly more than you are worth, but I want you gone." The guests looked at their shoes. Nobody said a word. She was mocking my career and my life in the house I grew up in. I took the check and looked her in the eyes. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just walked toward the door. The next few days were a blur of cold realizations. Regina called to tell me she had donated all of my mother's jewelry to a charity she chairs. Those pearls were all I had left. Then, at the post-funeral dinner, she told the lawyer that my father had diminished capacity. She wanted to cancel every gift he ever gave me. I felt the bitterness rising in my throat. I visited the hospital and found out she had been intercepting my father's medical mail. She told him I never visited while he was sick. He died, thinking I didn't care. It was the most cruel thing she could do. I sat in my car and breathed through the pain. I didn't scream. I didn't call her names. Instead, I pulled out my notebook. I recorded every insult and every lie she told. I gathered the names of every person who hurt her. I was building a case while she was busy picking out new curtains for the master bedroom. Regina never understood why I insisted on cataloging my father's private library 3 months before he passed. She thought I was just being a nerd about old books. What she didn't know was that I wasn't just looking at leather bindings. I was looking for the one thing my father told me he'd hidden in plain sight. He had whispered it to me when Regina was in the kitchen. "Look in the law section, Chloe," he said. Behind the dust jacket of our first edition legal text, I found it. It was a treasure map of sorts. I found the original, unamended deed to the house. I also found a series of recorded conversations between my father and his doctor. He was sharp until the very end. He knew what she was trying to do. He left the weapons I needed right where I could find them. Arthur reached out to me that evening. He was my father's retired attorney and a man Regina tried to fire years ago. We met in a dimly lit diner that smelled like old coffee. "Chloe, I have the real files," he whispered. He confirmed that Regina's new will was a poorly executed forgery. It didn't match anything in his private safe. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. Regina was growing more arrogant by the hour. She was already planning a mansion warming party for the following week. She truly believed I was defeated and homeless. She thought she had won the game before it even started. We spent all night preparing. Arthur knew the law, and I knew the evidence. The tension was thick, but for the first time, I felt like I was the one in control. Regina was celebrating her victory, but she was standing on a floor that was about to disappear. The attorney's office was cold and smelled of floor wax. Regina arrived in a thick fur coat, looking like a queen. Her lawyer started reading the forged will. I looked at Arthur and nodded. I produced a digital recorder and a certified PDF of the original deed. The room went silent as the judge listened to the recording of Regina, admitting she drugged my father's tea to get him to sign the papers. Her face turned a ghostly shade of white. The judge looked over his glasses at Regina and asked the one question that ended her. Mrs. Sterling, did you truly believe we wouldn't notice that the notary's seal on this document belongs to a man who died 3 years before the signature date? Regina tried to speak, but no sound came out. Her lawyer stepped away from her. The trap had snapped shut. Regina was escorted out by the police. She is facing fraud and elder abuse charges now. The house and the estate were returned to me by the court. I walked back into the mansion that evening. It felt empty, but it felt clean. I retrieved my mother's jewelry from the fake charity account Regina set up. I changed every lock myself. My father always said that value isn't found on the surface. You have to dig deep to find what is real. Regina buried herself in her own lies, and I finally have the peace I deserve. If someone you trusted tried to steal your inheritance or erase your history, I know the weight of that betrayal. It's a pain that cuts deep. Tell me your story in the comments. Did you get justice? Subscribe to join our community of people who stand their ground. Click Hype to help this story reach others who need to know they aren't alone. Standing up for yourself is tough, especially when it's family. If you've been there, subscribe and become part of our community. Let me know this story helped by clicking Hype. And tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Let's keep moving forward together.